Hi, my name's Benedict, and I wanted to walk you through one of the meta presets in my Sample Plus filter refill that's just been released. Meta preset, you might wonder what that means. We all know what a preset is. It's just put some knobs in a certain space and save them off, and there's a sound. A meta preset is a bit bigger or broader than just a preset. So really a meta preset is just the same thing that we learnt to do back in the 90s with romplers. Now Reason is a rather low-level environment, which is one of its greatest strengths, but can also appear to be one of its greatest weaknesses. A single preset can sound small, and people say Reason sounds poor because the sounds appear small. So the solution there is really just to think a little bigger than small and say, well, what if I layer things up? Now we can do the obvious layering things by putting several different sounds together and maybe doing a little bit of EQ so that they don't fight with each other, and hey presto, bigger sound. There are some meta presets in there that rely on that method, which is your classic Rompler D50 type thing. The particular meta preset we're going to look at here is a 5-voice unison. Unisons have become very, very popular in synthesis, really generating from, I guess, the Super Saw that came out in, again, the 90s. A lot of instruments have this unison button. You press it and suddenly it'll layer X number of voices on top of each other. They're all the same voice, but they're just detuned and generally spread across the stereo field. Reason doesn't have these buttons on Thor or Subtractor, or in this case, seeing it's a sample refill, doesn't have it on either of the NN instruments, which is fine, but there's ways that we can make that. Requires a tiny bit of effort, but the results can be rather good. So what we have here is a meta preset, which is 5 NNXTs, and in each of those we want to pop the same preset. So we've got the low-level preset, and by copying that out across 4 other times, we're actually able to detune, spread across the stereo field, and hey presto, we have that big broad sound that everybody's looking for. Now I'm actually going to show you through this preset sound, or the meta preset, just so you can see how it works and how to make the most of it yourself. We start by opening the 5-part NNXT Unison sound. It has a sound in it already, but we'll open it up so that we can actually choose another preset, and it can be any kind of NN sample instrument. And as you'll see, the structure is that there is a first sound, and then there are the unison sounds. Now we can separate out the first sound so we only hear that. That's very useful, as we'll see in a moment. And then of course unison, where we have all of the rest running together. The usual filter and resonance controls, detune, so we can set how much they detune from each other. You'll see there that in the detune section they don't quite run the same as each other. And of course there's also the stereo. So stereo will just broaden things out left to right. Sometimes you want more stereo, sometimes too much stereo is a really bad idea. So we can also turn off that first sound, because sometimes you just don't want it there in the final mix. Now, we'll start with a patch. We'll open up, browse through, find an NN sound that we like. In this case, we're going to choose a bass instrument. And seeing we're thinking 90s, then we will take one of the 90s sounds. We want to avoid anything that's in a combinator and just take that. Now we've got the 90s rubber 1 sound. We turn the Unison off, so we just hear that one patch on its own. We like that. Now we'll get rid of any frequency and resonance, like filter stuff, assignments, get rid of those. Also check the patch and we'll get rid of those as well. That allows the meta controls to work. Next, what we'll do is we'll copy that patch. So as you see, right click there, copy, right click, paste. Hey presto, it's there. We'll go through and do it the same for the other instruments. So now we've got 5 copies of that exact same sound. We turn the Unison back on, so we've got all 5 instruments working at once. We play it, we can change our detune, we can change our filter and resonance, and they'll all work as we expect them to. We can also assign the stereo again. Less stereo, probably because it's a bass sound. More stereo if we want to really get a little carried away. And again, we can turn off the first sound. The first sound is always defaulted to its natural pitch. And that's really all there is to using that meta preset. Again, we could use different sounds, but this one's optimized to work with using the same sound 5 times by broadening it out. Again, have a listen to the little piece on the lead of this video, and you'll see how by creating that natural unison, you don't lose anything from the sound, you just suddenly get a bigger, broader, shinier sound. And I think that's what we all want. Enjoy the sample plus filter refill. Refill.